The Vaastu involves weight, light, energy, water and fire. So the main door has a great significance in deciding the 50% Vaastu compliance of a house or an establishment. Vaastu Shastra is the management tool. It's a science about managing your space and resources, which uses the resources effectively and manages the energies properly.
Hello, welcome G KRISH TV and G KRISH Bhakti TV viewers. Today we have an interesting episode. Part 1 topic was on the need for horoscope and astrology as it can guide the common man for his prosperity. Part 2, Mr. Siva Ramakrishna spoke on 2024 prediction, astrological prediction for 12 rasis. Now in part 3, he will be talking on Vasthu. To brief about Siva Ramakrishna, he is a BE engineer in the early 70s. Later did his post-graduation in Vasthu and he was working in a leading company. He belongs to a family who are well versed in astrology. He took interest and is well versed in guiding corporate establishment when they start a new company or when they recruit people in Ayurveda for employment opportunity. He has applied astrology for the well-being of an organization, for the well-being of an individual. So on behalf of G KRISH TV, I invite Shri Siva Ramakrishna sir. Thank you for earlier part 1 and part 2. I think that will be helpful to the viewers. Now coming to part 3, very common people say when something goes wrong, they say they are not compliant with the Vasthu, especially when it comes to family life. So I wanted to know from you, we seek guidance from horoscope, then is there need for Vasthu guidance also?
Good evening and welcome to your viewers and my greetings to all of them. As I said earlier, this occult sciences like astrology, Vasthu, numerology, gemology, namology, they are all interconnected occult sciences. Now, the application differs from place to place. Science is same, but the application is based on the user. Now, if you see a person who has got a good fourth house in his horoscope will generally live in a Vasthu compliant house, even if he doesn't believe in Vasthu. And those who don't have the fourth house in order, even if they try their level best, some kind of Vasthu defect will come into their house and they will suffer on account of that.
Fourth house, you say, is it from the Lagna?
Yeah, fourth house from the Lagna. And this is a very popular thing which I've seen with many people. Some people say that they have no faith in Vasthu, but I go and visit their house, it is Vasthu perfect. They have not made any special efforts to get that kind of a house built or things placed according to that. See, Vasthu is not only a science for construction, or proper construction. It is a science which talks about the placement of objects, effect of the placement of objects inside and outside the house. Now, what is inside the house we can change, but what is outside the house we have no powers to change. Today there is no element, no unwanted element outside, but tomorrow it can come. Imagine an independent house. Suddenly after 10 years a bridge may come in front of it. Somebody, put new transformer could be put up in front of the house. These all changes the effect of Vasthu of the inmates in that house, living in that house. So that you cannot really change. But what is inside the house? You put somebody, you give a Vasthu perfect house or a Vasthu compliant house to someone and he doesn't keep objects properly inside the house. The Vasthu, good effects of Vasthu will be lost. For example, if the northeast corner is loaded with heavy objects, if the southeast corner is filled up with water pots or water cans, and the southwest corner, you dump all garbage, waste and broken items. Then the good aspects of Vasthu will all be gone. So, it is Vasthu is a science which uses the resources effectively and manages the energies properly. We have around us, we have the cosmic energy, we have the solar energy, wind energy. Now, these energies have to properly flow into the house, and they have to be properly utilized. If you block the area where energy is entering, and if you open the area where energy is stored, then obviously no energy will be left in the house. So it is a Vaastu, the Vaastu awareness has become more only in the recent days. Actually, the link between astrology and Vaastu, I have seen, and I have been using it to guide my clients. Because when I guide my client for astrology, I also bring in Vaastu, because then it completes the entire circle. Astrology alone does not rule the entire life of a person or a business. Vaastu plays a very important role. Again, Vaastu of a house or an organization or a building, it doesn't, the effect of Vaastu is slightly very tricky. Good aspects of Vaastu helps only those who have a good, strong horoscope. Now, bad effects of Vaastu, it affects those who have a weak horoscope. If there are 4 people in the house, if 3 people have a strong horoscope, the 4th bad, then in the bad aspects affect that person. The good aspects affect the stronger person. It's because it is very logical. In a chain of links, it is always the weakest link which feeds first. So the weakest person in the family, he gets affected by Vaastu defects. The strongest person, he gets helped by the goodness of Vaastu. So this Vaastu I have applied for individuals as well as industry is successfully. After making the Vaastu changes, certain industries where they had daily accidents and all, very low productivity, they have all undergone radical changes. And people who had a very humble beginning in a small house, they built mansions, they grew very well in their houses. And those who did not bother about Vaastu, specifically challenge Vaastu and say that I have a wrong entrance, let me see what happens. In a matter of 10 years' time, a lot of things have gone wrong in their life. So it is Vaastu is a thing which I have learned along with astrology from a young age, and I have been observing Vaastu for over 50 years.
So what do you mean to say, along with the horoscope of an individual, Vaastu has got an effect on one's life?
Absolutely. Okay.
Sir, what are the basics of Vastu Shastra?
See, Vastu Shastra, as I told you, is the management tool. It's a science about managing your space and resources. How to effectively manage the space available to you and the natural resources that are available to you. Now, in Vastu Shastra, the main entrance plays a very vital role. The main entrance to the building, either to the house or the office or an establishment, it plays a very, very important role in Vastu. Now, if you place the main entrance, the so-called uchcha bhaga or uchcha sthana, we have 4 directions: north, south, east and west. Now, the uchcha sthana is called, the east and north of northeast is called uchcha sthana.
Please say it once again, sir.
East and north of northeast. You have a northeast zone. The direction, the northern side and eastern side. They have 2 sides, east of northeast and north of northeast. Both of them, they are supposed to be uchcha sthana. Now, directly, diametrically opposite, the west of south side and south of west side, both of them are supposed to be nicha sthana. Now, if you keep opening in the nicha sthana, then whatever energy that comes in, it gets out of the house. Now, this is a most vital element. Similarly, if you are talking about the other corners, 2 corners, I talked about 2 corners, 2 other corners are there. The other is a northwest corner, the other is a southeast corner. Now, south of southeast is good, but east of southeast is bad. If you have an entrance in the east of southeast, it is bad. Now, bad mainly for the women of the house. The other 2 corners are, one is a northwest corner, other is a southeast corner. The south of southeast, if you have an entrance, it is good. But if you have an entrance in the east of southeast, it is bad. Similarly, in the northwest, If you have an entrance in the north of northwest, it's good. But if you have an entrance in the west of northwest, it is not considered good. Now, these places, these 8 parts are supposed to be the uchcha sthanas. The 8 corners of this house are supposed to be uchcha sthanas. And the other corners, like south of southwest, west of southwest, and east of southeast, they are all nicha sthana. The nicha sthana gives leakages to a pot. If you have a vessel, you may pour any amount of water, but if there is a hole at the bottom, the water doesn't stay. Like this, these points provide leakage to the energy of the place. So the main door has a great significance in deciding the 50% Vaastu compliance of a house or an establishment. So focus has to be given for the main door.
And now you spoke in detail about the importance of Vaastu from the main entrance for any house or any flat.
Yeah.
What about the other key elements?
See, the other key elements include actually 50% I said Vaastu compliance will be achieved by placing the main entrance in the proper place. The other elements are, you should avoid placing water elements in the fire zone or the southeast zone, and fire element in the northeast zone. You should avoid placing a stove in the northeast corner, and you should avoid having a tap in the southwest corner, and you should avoid both fire and water in the southwest corner, and you should avoid blockage of the northwest corner. Northwest corner is called a Vayumula. There should be free flow of air in the northwest corner. Now, if you do this, you get another 10% Vaastu compliance. Another 10% Vaastu compliance comes from avoiding the toilets in any one of the corners other than northwest corner. If you put a toilet in the northeast corner or the southeast corner or southwest corner, or even at the center of the house, which is called a Brahmasthana, it creates a serious Vaastu defect. Because in the times when Vaastu Shastra was evolved, nobody used to keep toilet inside the house. Now, when you bring such an unwanted element, but an essential element into the house, there is no place called a perfect place for toilet or a desirable place for toilet. Now, you should always look at it by avoiding placing the toilet in undesirable places. Now, these are the undesirable places. The only place where you can accept toilet in a corner is a northwest corner. But in general, I don't recommend anybody to keep a toilet in any corner. So, if you follow this, you get about 70% compliance of Vaastu. The other 30% is related to keeping the objects inside the house. Like if you keep any objects, you should keep them in the southwest corner. If you keep any light and illuminated objects, they should be in the northeast corner. So these are all some of the key points. If the house is Vaastu compliant, and if you violate all these Vaastu rules by wrong placement of objects inside the house, if you keep the east and north heavy and keep the southwest light, it's a Vaastu defect. Like similarly, so the Vaastu deals a lot about Vasthu inside the house and outside the house. Inside the house you can do any changes, but outside the house you have limitations. Suppose you have a staircase opposite to a main entrance going up or down, or there is a lift going up or down. It's a very bad Vaastu defect. But this cannot be removed. If you bought an apartment where this is already there, what can you do about it? Or if you have an independent house, today nothing would be there. Tomorrow, an electricity board person can come and put a big transformer there. A metro station could come in front of you. Bridge can come in front of you. They all are Vaastu defects which can disturb the image of a person.
Sir, nowadays, especially in cities, we live in flats. I mean, independent houses are very few. So, in that case, Vaastu, how does it apply for an independent house? Is it very far flat?
You see, in an independent house, it is very easy to decide about Vaastu things because most of the things are in your control. you can start planning things from a construction stage itself. But when it comes to a flat, let us say you are living in an apartment where there are about 50 houses. Now, you can look for Vaastu compliance of your flat only. Your opposite flat may not comply with Vaastu. That is not going to affect you at all. Because your boundaries are your living space. If you are in an independent house, your boundary is decided by the compound wall of the house. Whereas if you are in a flat, your boundary is decided by the flat, the contours of the flat that you are occupying. What is immediate opposite to your flat? Opposite to your entrance, if there is a lift, it is bad. Now, if that lift is coming in the next door, opposite to the next door, it could be adjacent. It is not directly opposite, it's a little bit away. It is not going to affect yours, it is going to affect your neighbor. Same thing applies for stairs. Now, Vaastu compliance in a flat has to be done with a little bit of a compromise. There are certain compromises you have to allow to follow Vaastu compliance. Now, in a flat, there are certain flexibilities at the time of construction. If you tell the flat builder, he will comply with most of the Vaastu elements. But these flat owners, they make certain gross mistakes in the name of Vaastu. They introduce certain Vaastu defects at the building stage itself without knowing what they are doing. Take for example, a flat which has got kitchen in the southeast corner or the adjoining wall. Now what they will do is, adjacent to this kitchen, they will put a balcony in the exact southeast corner and put a water tap for washing vessels. In really speaking, you are violating Vaastu by this kind of a facility. Washing vessels is the basic requirement of kitchen, and that requires a tap. Just because it is convenient for them to keep a tap outside in a balcony and wash vessels there, they keep it in the southeast corner, which creates a big problem. Actually, if there is a water in southeast corner, it will affect the women of the house. So, in the name of Vaastu, they are introducing a Vaastu defect, which I have seen in many flats. So, the same thing, if you have a kitchen in the northeast, you can have in the northeast corner a balcony and a place to wash the vessels. No harm in that. But if you have a mirror image of that in a flat, in the southeast corner, you cannot use that place for washing. So, these are all the basic elements. Very simply speaking, no water element in the fire zone. No fire in the water zone. No fire and water in the southwest or the, what do you call as a Lakshmi sthana. Southwest corner is supposed to be a Lakshmi sthana. Fire zone is the southeast zone of the house, is called fire zone. Northeast zone is called the water zone. So,
only this is where you can tap.
Yeah, the source of water or sink of water, all these things. If there is a water underneath in that zone, then based upon where it is, it affects the people. In an independent house, they say that you must ideally put a bore or sump in the northeast corner or the east of northeast or north of northeast. You should not put any bore well in the south of southwest or west of southwest or in the southeast zone. Southeast zone, if you put a bore or if you put a well, it will affect the female folks of the house. Now, the same concept if you apply for a flat. You are living in a complex where there are 50 flats. You are, if you see, if the water source comes from southeast corner of the entire complex, it does affect you. But the amount of effect is distributed among the 50 householders. So, the impact on you will be much less. And this is not a factor which you can control. It is based on so many people's facility. So, you have no control over that. In a flat, you need not look at where the bore is located, where the sump is located, where the drainage is located. Now,
Overhead tank?
Even overhead tank. All of them, the same rule applies. But the drainage from your house, the toilet in your house, the water inlet at your house makes an impact on your house. So this is the difference between an independent house and a flat. Flat, you have Certain things are individual, certain things are shared. Where it is shared, the benefit or the harmful effects are distributed among many people.
Okay. So, Siva Ramakrishna, and you have provided consultant services to a lot of corporates on Vaastu. How does it differ from residence?
See, the residential Vaastu, the basic elements are one and the same. But how it is applied to industry, how it is applied to houses, they are different. Now, you look at the industry. Industry also requires water. It requires fire. It requires handling of money. It requires people who are working with a hard job, like somebody is operating a furnace. Somebody is sitting in the computer, in front of a computer, doing a designer's job. So somebody is doing an accounting job. Their profiles are different. The only difference between the house and industry is, in house you have a place for sleeping for everybody. In industry, if you provide the sleeping place for industry, then the industry will go to sleep. So this is the basic difference. So in a house, you normally locate the bedroom for the master as a master bedroom in the southwest zone. Okay. And you avoid sleeping in the northeast zone, especially people who are in the family day or youngsters, in fact. Or elderly people can occupy the northeast bedroom. In an industry, the focus is given more to active life rather than passive life. Sleeping is a passive life. Active life means they are working 8 hours of concentrated work. Now, the traditional Vaastu concept, they say everybody has to face east. That is not true. My school of applied Vasthu says that every activity, the direction is based on the activity. Now, if somebody is facing east, he will be very active, he will be very receptive, and he will be very energetic. He will do a good productive work. Those who face north, they are fit, they will do the knowledge-based work, because north is the direction of Jupiter. Wisdom comes to a person by seeing, by facing north. Take for example, west. West is the direction of Shri. Like somebody, all the 8 hours he is cutting some objects in the lake. Somebody is sitting on the furnace. It's a very hot situation. You cannot put a person with an active brain work on that. He will run away from that place. Now, the person who is with that kind of a job has to be done facing west. Now, people who are working on computer tables, who are working as accountants, they have to face east. People who are doing R&D job, who are doing creating job, they have to face north. Now, these directions are based on the activity. Now, this difference is there for industrial Vaastu. You have to locate. But if you have to locate a boiler or you have to locate a furnace, it is better to locate them in the southwest zone. Okay. If you are going to have a cooling tower, it is better to have it in the northeast zone. If you are going to provide toilet for the entire staff in one place, it is better to keep it in the northwest zone. All items which are valuable, which are to be stored, you have to keep it in the southwest corner. All things which are moving, which have to be cleared, it has to be in the northwest zone. Now, these are all the basic elements. Again, the Vaastu involves weight, light, energy, water, and fire. Now, all these elements have to be properly placed without misusing in that position. Okay. Now, there is a popular concept in the domestic Vaastu. Everybody wants to keep their kitchen in the southeast corner. This is again not a concept suitable for these days. In olden days, it was perfect because they had to cook using firewood. They were all living in near water sources. So water was never a problem, fire was a problem. So they felt that southeast corner is the best for keeping a kitchen to cook food for many people very quickly. Well, today, your situation is different. You are living in a flat. You are living in some place where Water is a problem. There's a scarcity for water. Fire is no problem because you can cook without lighting even a matchstick. Without fire, you have got induction heaters to cook, but you have no facilities to cook without water. So, my clients, many of my clients, I advise them to keep the kitchen. I am not against keeping them in southeast, but southeast is not the only place for kitchen. Except the southwest and the center portion of the house, which is called the sthana. Any place is okay from the kitchen.
Okay.
But only thing is, in that kitchen, you should not keep the stove in the northeast zone of that room. Okay. And water in the southeast zone of that room. For example, if you have a kitchen in the northeast zone of your house, you cannot keep your stove in the northeast corner and you cannot put a wash basin in the southeast corner.
Okay.
It should be interchanged.
You talked about the kitchen. What about the bedroom, the hall?
This was planned as per Vaastu, but it had some defects which was also rectified later.